Welcome to another episode of Cohort.
1986.
I'm your host, Rodney.
I'm Candace.
And today we have a very special guest,
Yes.
Mr. Gemini Boyd. Where's Gemini from, Candace?
He is from Project Boat of Charlotte, North Carolina. So super excited to have Mr. Boyd on our show today to really talk about Project Boat and what they're doing within the community, and also to take a chance to take the opportunity to get to know Gemini. So really excited about that. So definitely want to welcome you to our platform.
Thank you for having me.
And Mr. Boyd,
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Gemini Boyd, and I'm born and raised right here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
Unicorn, man.
Yeah, that's what they say. They say we unicorns around here, so it's hard to find some of us. But I'm an individual that's formerly incarcerated. Also, I served 20 years in federal prison. I served almost 3 years in state prison. So for 23 years of my life, I've been incarcerated. And during my incarceration on the last stint that I was in federal prison, I decided to make a change and trying to figure out how I can do stuff differently, to opposed to being different to where I could help my community when I come home. Because I started seeing individuals getting younger and younger as they were coming in for incarceration. And I seemed to be getting older. So I went from being a youngster while I was incarcerated to being unk and all this old other kind of stuff.
Transition to unk.
It didn't suit well with me, but it had its moments, because it was easier for me to then get into the mindset of the younger generation that was coming in to help figure out ways that I can make a difference in helping them when I go home.
Wow. Yeah.
I
mean, that's very what you said there. That was just a lot to really unpack. How you were able to see people that were your age when you came in, and how at the end you were like, okay, this is a cycle. And how you were able to recognize that and to make a goal where you wanted to do something about it. So what was kind of that process? Like, what were you thinking at that time? So were you talking to your other inmates about why they were there or where they came from, or what was that conversation like?
And then also I want to add in, like, what was that actual turning point for you?
Yeah.
Well, I can say the turning point to answer that in the beginning was the fact that, hell, a judge just gave me 30 years for drugs and 20 years for guns. So that was the turning point, what I'm saying? And watching how it unfolded, to the point to where I'll tell you in a second, did I sell drugs? Yeah. Have I ever carried or owned a gun? Yeah, that is true. But did I do it to the magnitude to where the sentence that I should have received? No. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's another story. And, from being incarcerated, I had to do all those things, Candace, that you asked in the beginning. You had to find out what was the mindset of those individuals that were coming in. And we all, from all walks of life, had the same problem, being black and brown. You run across the same, troubles that you're going to run across anywhere in the country. No matter, make no difference where you from. And when you're battling poverty, when you're battling, poor education, when you're battling, trying to find jobs and things like that, those are some of the obstacles that were faced and given to me, and I couldn't figure it out. So, and in the process of me figuring it out was that, I just went to the streets. It became it became easier for me to do that than for me to continue to try to figure it out.
Wow.
Okay. I want to take like a step back. So just could you kind of describe like how you were raised and just kind of that family and home support structure?
Well, I was raised, man, through foster care. I've been in foster homes, group homes, things of that nature. I was raised in a household where my mother come from a family of alcoholics, and it was just in my family. So I came from a family of drug use and alcohol, So
Mhm.
those barriers were in front of me from the beginning because of the barriers that was in front of the ones that were trying to raise me, who
Wow.
didn't really have an understanding on what it took to really raise a young man at the time. Back then it was more or less about if you could just love a child, everything would be all right. Everything else would fall into place because we had a whole community trying to help raise one child, and it's not like that now. So, as parents back then, they couldn't figure it out themselves. So when it kind of left children in my age and my generation, it kind of left us, to where we just went primarily to the streets, man. Because
Wow.
if you was a 70s baby, I tell people all the time, if you a 70s baby, you really a 80s child because that's where you get all your game from. You
Right,
know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
It ain't from the 70s, it's from the 80s that we actually grew up and had an understanding of things. So when the 90s came, shit, we were already in the drug trades and selling drugs, carrying guns and all that during the 90s.
Wow.
But we were just children of the 80s because of the crack era when it hit in the
Right.
late 80s.
Right, right. So I always ask everyone this question. So, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like when you were
Well,
young, what did you want to be?
like the typical child, it had something to do with sports. I was real good at sports. I wanted to be a basketball player because I
Wow,
could play basketball real good, but I also could play baseball and football as well as a child.
wow,
So
Wow.
that's really cool. That's really
yeah,
cool.
but from my incarceration, when I was incarcerated at the age of 16, I was incarcerated and I took welding, small engineer,
Mm.
Hmm.
Wow.
construction. So when I came home
Wow.
around 19, I wanted to be a welder. I wanted to open up my own business,
Yeah.
making fences. But
Mm.
back then, because if you had a felon back in the 90s, early 90s, you couldn't find no jobs, you couldn't get no
Mhm.
support. It's not like it is now. It's a little
Right,
lenient, more
right,
Yep.
lenient now opposed to back then. Back
Yep.
then you couldn't get no support, no help, no nothing.
right, right. Wow, wow.
And that's the thing that has always bothered me is the fact that we take away so many of these things from people just because of one choice that they made.
Mhm.
It's hard that you can't get a student loan, you can't get a job. I mean, it's just so many things that really need to change within the entire system, to give people a second chance.
Right.
You can't. It really just bothers me.
Yeah, it does. And it's hard because you expect greatness, right?
Hmm.
But
Mm.
you ain't got no water, you ain't got no well to keep going to refill yourself with, to replenish
Mm.
yourself because there is
Wow.
nothing there. Like, we want people to do well, we want people to do the right thing, but we're not providing anything for them in the
Right,
process.
right,
So how do
right,
you expect them to succeed?
right, right.
So it's difficult on individuals, man, trying to succeed from being incarcerated.
Man, that was deep.
Man, I'm just soaking up all this game right here and everything you
Yeah.
just telling us, man. It's an eye opener.
Yeah,
So
because what people don't know, there's over 45,000 obstacles that I face every day that I walk out my door.
mm,
Wow.
And you want me to succeed though. You want me to be successful. Then this
right,
is what now I ain't gonna say you want, you expect, what I'm
Hmm.
saying, for me to do all these great things, but you're really not giving me a platform to really step up on to really be successful in those things. It just have to be the will of the individual, which can
That's
be
true.
very difficult within itself because you'll then have to start talking about the trauma that certain individuals have went through in their lives, right?
Right.
right, right.
Which make it that more difficult for them to succeed. Like it's so many barriers, man, that people like such as myself that we
Mhm.
face every day, man. And some of us make it look easy, right? But
Yeah.
it's the most difficult thing I could possibly be doing every day is just trying to not to go to jail. People don't know how hard that is.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, that's deep, man. That is so deep. And
Mm.
I just want to ask you a question. So with the name Project Bolt,
Mm-hmm.
where did you come up with that name? Like, what would inspire you to use that name?
And what does it
Man,
mean?
to be honest with you, I was laying in my prison bed and I kept trying to think of a name that I could use
Mm.
that
Hmm.
would be helpful for the people, right?
Mm.
And I just kept teetering around something like lightning. And I wanted something like with a bolt of energy and all this. So it just came up to, damn, what about BOAT? And I'm big on acronyms. So BOAT stands for Building Outstanding Lives Together. And what drew me to it, I just started playing with words. And then the last word just made it all fit and made it all perfect. And that was together. Because I was on a mission to try to make a change in my communities and to make a change within myself. And I knew I couldn't do it all by myself. I had to do it with others. Right. So together is real important for me because I look for support from communities just so we could work together to try to figure it out. So BOAT actually came from while I was incarcerated, man. The name came to me.
Wow.
And it just stuck. It just stuck because it made sense. It was like a bolt of lightning. That's why the when you see the symbol of it, it look like it's a fist, but the arm of the fist is like a bolt of lightning.
Wow. Yeah, I just love it because I know whenever I was doing the research and looking at the organization and just seeing that image, I mean, it just spoke of power.
Right.
I mean, it was just enlightening. It was uplifting as well. And to just know what it stands for, building outstanding lives together. And that together part is what we need. That's what that community really comes in.
Right.
So what are some of the services that you guys offer?
Well, right now, I can tell you what we're doing right now is that we are working with the youth with a youth organizing program that we're doing. And it is based on trying to, create ways and help the youth organize, to be a part of organizing, to let them know that it is a skill to be able to organize something. And we're in the process of trying to train them to understand that. And what we're going to do with it is that we're going to pick a neighborhood and try to create a survey, right? And we're going to take that survey to the neighborhood and either do a door-to-door survey or a town hall within that community. And it's something that the youth will be organized and they'll be running it. They'll be doing all the door-to-door and everything. Man, so we try to do stuff like that with the kids. But the foundation for me is that I try to get to the kids. I try to get to the parents through the kids because no matter what we teach a child, like I can get a child all the game he or she may need. They may be energetic. They may feel as though they can go take on the world, right?
Right.
And then they walk into their household and it's dysfunctional. All right. So once they do that, everything that you taught them has now went out the window. It's no good no more because now they got to deal with the dysfunction within the household. They don't have time to think about all the great things that we were just doing prior that day. So we try to find ways that we can work with the household and the parents. But because the thing is, we want to try to, change the mindset for individuals. And you change the mindset by leading from examples of yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Your life story is a testimony to somebody else, whether you may know it or not. You may think you're doing just the simplest things that there is to do. Right. But for real, that someone needs to hear what you're doing, who you are, and how you did it.
Yes.
So they need to know that. So if you give people that, right, you'll be doing the right thing from the Creator. It'll be ordained for you to do just that because we are givers. We are vessels. That's all we are as humans. So just finding ways to give back was really the primary platform for me. So we try to just work with the parents just as much as the children.
Right.
Because you got to have trust anyway, right?
Yes,
as an organization, as resources, because without that trust, you have nothing.
That's it.
Right. And that's a problem right now in our communities because you have resources in one hand and then in the other hand you have community, right?
Yeah.
But you have a big old gap in the middle of it. And you don't have ways to really have ways to create that the resources can get to the community and the community can get to the resources. Because what's missing is that trust barrier, that bridge, in order for the resources to cross and the community to cross over. It has to be trust in there because resources can be over there with everything community may need. But if community don't trust those resources, you're not going into that neighborhood.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And that's vice versa. community need to know where the resources are. And they need to trust that the resources are actually going to be beneficial for the community and the people, opposed to being something that can just be used. Like community don't want to be used. They want to be helped, and they want to be guided in a way that they won't need your help anymore. They want to be guided in a way that they can help others.
That's it.
That's
it. I mean, listen.
He said it perfectly.
Same page, same goal. I mean, like, this is why we do cohort 1986. It is to help people. It is to grow people. It is to bridge the gap. And, we all have to do our part. And I am just like so excited for what Project Bold is doing and what it has done and what it stands for. Building communities together, and the fact that you guys are not only impacting the youth, but also impacting the parents, because you have to do both. You can't do one without the other. You can't do
one without the other.
And that's something that I say all the time. So I'm just glad anytime other people are saying the same thing, I'm like, yes, somebody else gets it.
And so, Mr. Boyd, I do have a question. So how has the community taken to Project Bold? How has the reception been? And is there outpouring of giving to you in your organization?
Well, there's been a lot of connections because the way we operate, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of the things that I like to do is I like to speak truth to power.
Yeah.
Right.
And that has gained me a lot of respect in the communities, because community know that I'm constantly, whether it's down there at the government's building or wherever it may be, wherever community may need me, I'm always there. So community has grown to trust Project Boat. Project Boat, we're on a trajectory of like going up. Most times when you were with nonprofits, you got to come out and you stay flat across the land, and they start doing like a graph to where you go up a little bit. Actually, Project Boat has done the opposite. We've taken the pyramid and we flipped it upside down.
Yeah.
Right. And the power is starting from the bottom for us. And we look for ways to bring people along to step on that ladder and that platform to get to the bottom from the top, So we want to try to do things differently at all times, man. And community has really embraced us, bro. Like, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful to have partnerships with the Panthers, the Hornets, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Women's Impact Fund, Triple C Brewery. There's so many different people we've had an opportunity to work with on a short period of time. So from doing that lets you know that Project Bold is really out here trying to, fight these battles for community. And we're being recognized in some rooms. We actually also just received the Safe Charlotte grant, which is a government funded grant. So, we've been moving along, man. Our trajectory is going straight upwards. And I'm just thankful that the Creator is allowing that to happen, because without him, it wouldn't happen no way.
Yes. Wow.
Yes, sir.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. So I was on Facebook and I noticed that you guys have a community center.
Yeah, get big claps for that.
Tell us about it. How can people help? How can people get involved? Like, I mean, that's awesome.
Well, the thing right now, we're going to really lay it out how people can help after we get some renovations, just slight renovations that the owner of the business has to get taken care of.
Right.
And then it'll be all the way ours to really start implementing our plan on what it needs to look like. So we're going to be doing fundraisers, because we're going to need money to get some of this stuff done, because we want to build a classroom. We want it to be state of the art for the youth. This is what it primarily is going to be. And it's going to be a safe space for our kids. And it's going to be a community center for our adults. Because we want to be able to have ways that we can help people find jobs, right? Get them connected to vocational training and things like that. So I'm just excited to know that we're actually going to have space. And it's going to be a safe space for our kids. And all are invited. Like, this is Project Boat, right? That isn't what this is. This is cohort 1986 space also. You feel what I'm saying? So it's the community space. If you have an organization, You have programs that you've been looking to have space to be able to work with your people, whether they're young adults, or children, right?
Yeah.
I feel as though, you know what I'm saying, it would be best for us to have that space and utilize it as much as possible.
I love it.
Man,
I love
that's
it.
so dope, man. I am so happy for Project Bolt
Yeah.
and the entire Charlotte community to have a place that they can call their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And such a leader like you that's just well respected, esteemed, and has his eye on the greater picture. And man, that's just so big, man. It's rare, but it's big, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I have to also ask, so I know, like, are there other ways that people can get involved now? I know you guys do some things with housing, and also feeding the kids. So are there things that people can do now to kind of help get involved?
Yes, people can go right to the website and sign up as volunteers, and we can
Okay.
figure out ways, to get you involved. Whether it's just coming out helping the kids, when we need volunteers or chaperones, or whether it's being involved where you might have a connection to find jobs, or you might have a connection to help with food or whatever. So it'd be best to go to the website, sign up, find out who we are and how you can get involved.
Gotcha.
Nice.
And so the community center's coming. What else is next for Project Bolt and you?
Well, right now, man, the primary thing is the community center. That's what's at the top of the agenda, and trying to get that to where it needs to be, right? And at the same time, we're still doing our programs that we're doing for the youth and things like that. We're still working with adults, trying to help them stay connected to places like NC Works and things like that.
Right.
So to help, I'm big on not just trying to find you a job. Like, what is your career? What are your aspirations and what you
That's
want to
it.
be? You know what I'm saying? And that's what a place like NC Works comes in handy. And they've been helpful to Project Bolt. Having partnerships like that, man, means a lot, man, to where you can just pick up the phone and be like, okay, I have an individual that's trying to get their CDLs, and you don't have to send them in a line that's from here to Greensboro, right?
Yeah.
They go right in and they connect it at the front of the line because you made that connection for them. Like, that's big for me. I love doing that.
Yeah.
So Project Bolt, and that's where we at right now, and just staying focused on the community center is where we at. But if people are trying to get connected to us, please go to the website and log in and let us know how you can help us for real, because you know that we're doing all things. So it might be something specifically that you do well.
Right.
And once you get connected to Project Bolt, we can find out what that is, and then we can move forward, because you may have a certain particular skill set that we need over here to help get to highlight in the community.
And that website is www.projectbolt.org.
Yes, correct.
Nice. And so I have to ask, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to do more work in the community? What advice would you give to someone who's forgotten how to dream?
Wow. For someone, first, to answer that first part of, the advice that I would give someone that want to get involved in the community is, first, find out how you want to get involved, because there's a plethora of ways that you can get involved, right? So once you find out what it is that you can do or how you can get involved, find a particular organization that's doing just that.
Right.
Link up with that organization. It doesn't have to be a Project Bolt, but what Project Bolt can do for you is that we can help you get connected to those particular organizations for the certain things that you might want to be involved in, because you might just primarily want to work with individuals that are with the domestic violence, right? And we have ways to get you connected to an organization that's primarily leading on that whole front of domestic violence. Right. So finding the organization that you would like to work with is key, and far as like your dreams and your aspirations, is that every day I wake up, I dream big. And my dreaming big may not be like your dreaming big. My dreaming big to some is simple. And that is what I want to do, is just be able to support my communities, build my communities, and see the world. Like, that's all I want to do. Like, I don't want a lot, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna take a lot to satisfy me. But in the process of that, I wake up knowing every day that I can achieve those goals. I'm not doubting myself, not for one moment. So not having any self-doubt is key into, accomplishing your dreams, because you got to believe it to achieve it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And you have to talk to yourself every day. Look at yourself in the mirror and say that I am who I am and I can do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? But you have to speak it into existence, because you have to put it out there to the ethers and it'll come back to you. But if you don't put it out there, and then if you don't start walking on it or walking towards it, it'll never happen for you. So, I just believe in that.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And I got a final question for you. So this just popped in my head. So what role does faith have in your thinking and in your walk?
You say that one more time?
Like, what role does faith faith have in your walk?
Oh, that's at the front. I'm Muslim. So, and I believe in the creator, who we say Allah, and which means God, right? And I believe, and I put him in front of everything, because without him, I don't have nothing. I don't have anything, but he still make a way for me. So that lets me know he exists. You know what I'm saying? So faith is everything to me, man. I put God willing in front of everything.
Wow.
Even if it's me walking to use the bathroom, I got to say God willing.
God willing.
God willing.
Because he don't have to let me do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
Everything I believe in, everything I do, is God is at the front of the panel. Like he's at the top. And then everything else is up under. Because one thing that I have learned in life is that when you discover your purpose in life, right? Because we all have a purpose, right? But when you discover that purpose, you walk towards that purpose, right? Life is simple. We make life complicated because we don't stay within our purpose. It's every time that we step outside our purpose, we get hit upside the head and got to get back in line of our purpose. But the moment that you figure out what your purpose is on this earth, life is simple. Because if you continue to walk that purpose, God gonna continue to open up doors. He gonna continue to open up the door. Like I say, it's when we step outside of our purpose is when things get hard for us. So I just continue to walk in my purpose and allow God to do the rest.
Man, look, let me tell you something, man. I really need to hear that. And I want to thank you for just saying that. Look, that ain't come out of nowhere.
You're right about that.
And somebody else needed to hear that too, because I don't know why, but something told me to ask about that dream, because somebody needs to hear that dream is still possible, that they can still walk that path to get to that purpose. I mean, that was
I'm telling you, man, right on time.
Wow.
I appreciate it, but that's just my format. It's just the way I live my life, right? I don't know how to do it no other kind of way, man, because every time I've tried to do it on my own, man, I've messed up.
Woo! You can say that again. I didn't learn my lesson. I didn't learn my lesson.
Yeah, man, you live long enough, you get bumped off that road a couple times.
You get tired again, straightened up.
You learn how to to walk that path, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that again. Like I said, man. So, so if people want to connect with Gemini, how can they do so? And also Project Bolt.
Well, first they can go to www.projectbolt.org. Is the best way to find us, or you can go on all social media platforms. On Facebook is Project Bolt. On IG is Project Bolt 2018. So it's easy to find us there. If not, you can find me, Gemini Boyd, on social media. Better yet, is N.I. Ladare, and N.I. Ladare, LA''DAIRE. Is where you can find me at on Facebook and Instagram. If you can't find Project Bolt, but I encourage people to sign up and look up Project Bolt. help that platform grow, because we're trying to do some wonderful things in the community,
Right.
and we need the support of the community, whether it's just going on there liking the page, you know what I'm saying, or just, if you see Project Boat out somewhere, you know, recognize Project Boat for who we are, and we are an organization that's for the community. You know, so you know, we want to try to find ways to stay connected to the community, to help build a community, you know, because we're losing.
Right.
Meaning the African American and the Hispanic communities, we're losing out here, man, and we need more people to step up to the plate. We need more opportunities like what you're providing right now, you know, to be on this particular platform, to be able to get the word out there so people can see and know who are the people out there for them in their communities.
Yeah. And also, guys, I just want to let everybody know that Project Boat's information is on our website. So if you go to our community partners page, you will see the Project Boat logo. Click there and it takes you straight over to their page. So, you know, and man, this is just so good.
It's like a breath of fresh air. It was needed. It's needed, and it's right on time.
It is. And it's going to be right on time for who needs to hear this.
Right.
And, you know, someone really needs to hear what you just said. So I just want to personally thank you for coming on to our platform. I want to thank you and everyone that you're affiliated with for what you guys are doing in the community and how you're changing the narrative and how you're impacting not only the youth, the families, the marginalized communities, and so forth. So thank you.
No, thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yes. So Rodney, where can people find us?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm forgetting something. Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. At Cohort 1986
podcast.
Look,
Gemini done threw us off today, y'all.
We
like, wait a
it all in, man. And if you want to find us on the podcast format, Anchor, Breaker, Google Pods, Spotify, and iTunes. You can find us all there, Cohort 1986. And if you want to reach out to us, it's cohort1986@gmail.com. And our website is www.cohort1986.com. Again, we want to thank Gemini Boy of Project Boat for coming on and blessing us with his presence and his words of wisdom today, man.
He threw us off our game today, y'all. So y'all definitely check out Project Boat. Anything that you can do for this organization, please do so.
Please do it.
You're definitely benefiting the community, and you're helping our next generation of leaders. So thank you, guys.
You're going to be sowing into fertile ground. I'm telling you now.
I appreciate it, brother. And y'all, thanks. Y'all continue to keep doing what y'all doing, and we look to continue to support y'all just as much.
Great.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Cohort 1986, and have a good one, everybody.